female roles in relationships, traditional male and female roles. We're going to be discussing red pill, purple pill, and blue pill. Okay, what? Red pill, blue pill, what is this? Okay, so you may hear this in what is now called the manosphere. And this, it's like, how can I describe this? It's not for everybody. Okay, the manosphere is definitely, it definitely appears one-sided. Okay, because it's for men, right? Manosphere. But then a deeper understanding of all of this. Okay, and when you get into biological psychology, when you get into the deeper behaviors of males and females and how they're traditionally wired, this takes on a whole different meaning. So you need to understand how men are wired, how women are wired, what their roles are and responsibilities, and how to execute them. And this makes the difference between the guy who's always getting a divorce, right? The guy who's always in divorce, he loses half, then he goes out and gets married again, right? And then he loses half, gets married again, right? And they keep going through this cycle, but they never learn anything. Okay, they haven't learned anything new. Okay, now some of what I say on this live is going to be a little hard to take. It's going to be a little bit kind of like what? No, that's. So I know this girl, right? And she was telling me, we were discussing men and women, and good morning, Jay. And we were discussing men and women's roles and how, she said, "Oh, I have a lot of guy friends, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So whenever that's one of my questions that I ask women when I meet them, right? Like, do you have a lot of guy friends? And here's why: a lot of women believe that they have platonic male friends. Okay. Now, if you have platonic male friends and these guys, you think these guys are your friends, then you have to really kind of look at biological psychology. You have to look at primal behaviors. You have to look at, like, okay, at the very root of this. Okay, ask yourselves this question, ladies. Okay, ask yourselves, if I allowed it, would he? And the answer is yes. Okay, look around your circle of male friends, right? If I allowed it, would he? The answer is yes. Okay, now, so men and women cannot be friends, but they can be friendly. Okay, they can be friendly. Now, at the base level of all of that, right? There's a lot of truth, but you got to look at it. Okay. Oh, I have male friends. Girls tell me that all the time. Oh, I have lots of guy friends. Lots of guy friends. Um, and that's very interesting for me, right? Because like I look at this and I go, well, kind of, sort of on the surface, but not really way down deep inside. There's a reason he finds you attractive. There's a reason he's friendly with you. Okay. There's also those guys that hover. We call them hoverers. Okay. So these guys are hoverers, and they will hover around a female. And usually that hovering can last for years. Okay. It could probably go all the way. But what we see, right, is when she goes through a hard time, a depressing time, a breakup, or whatever, and one of those guys is there, right? Something happens, and then, it's like, oh, wow, I don't know what came over me. Oh, it was an accident. It was an accident. Okay, that kind of thing. But he's there for her, right? Because he was there waiting anyway, right? So one of the things, and I have to think about how I'm presenting this because it's on a live and we have kids that watch and stuff too. But so I'm not going to get really detailed into this discussion, but I'm going to have you do your research because okay, put it this way: 3 out of 100 males, okay, 3 out of 100 men understand women. The rest of them don't. They think they understand. They think they got it, right? And some of these men say, some of these guys tell me, they go, well, I've been married for 25 years, and they think they know. Okay, you don't really know until you've been on the other side of the spectrum. Okay, you don't really know it until you take taking a look at research. For example, there are families with children that not all of the children belong to the biological father or to the parents that are married. Okay, they come from outside the home, but usually the guy never finds out. Okay, so it's a thing. Look it up. It's a thing. Okay, so where am I going with this? Well, today we want to explain red pill, blue pill, purple pill to you, and explain some of the myths or some of the misunderstandings or some of the misconceptions that happen. Okay, with between men and women. So this is good because I deal in relationships, mostly for men that when their attraction level comes down, right, and right about here, okay, right about here is where the divorce word starts coming out, okay, the D word, okay, and then if attraction lowers any more than this point, let's call this the last 9 yards, it will collapse like this, okay, and I'm talking about in the female mind, it will collapse like this, and when this collapse happens, there's no recourse, there's no second try, there's no chance again. She's done. Okay, she's done. So the man's job is to keep that attraction level as high as he can. And that's a job. That's a job. Okay. Now in relationships, when the guys get to this level, right, before that drop, they want to save their marriage and they come to me and they go, okay, can I save my marriage? The answer is yes, you can. You can. Okay. But it's really hard for somebody who's married, a guy that's married, okay, married men, it's very difficult for them to break the psychosis and attract and start attracting again once they've been conditioned down here, okay? And this is like the attraction level is coming down. Now, they can't help the attraction level because 3 out of 100 of them can, okay? But the other, 97, the other 97 males, they just come on a steady decline over here. So this is the wedding, okay? This is the wedding, and the years go by, and pretty soon it's mostly work, and then the honeymoon phase is all long gone already, and then they're coming down like that, right? And the attraction level is going like this. Not in their mind. In their mind, they're fine. In their mind, they're okay. This is in her mind, okay? And then it comes, it'll plateau somewhere over here. And sometimes it'll go up, sometimes it'll go down, but usually right here. Usually he can't get it up here, okay? Because he's married. Because, they have so men start to feel this. They start to feel like, oh, that's my wife. It's that kind of feeling, right? No, that's my wife. I can't do that with my wife. That's my wife. Well, what about when she was your girlfriend? Oh yeah, well, we used to do that back then, but that kind of thing, okay? So I'm here to tell you, okay, you got to keep that going, but it's a job. So the guys that, when they get to the crisis stage, let's call this the crisis level. When they get to the crisis level, then they get a hold of me. Oh, Junior, I need to turn this around. How am I going to turn this around? Okay. It's very difficult for a married man to do the opposite of what's getting him the non-attraction. It's very, very difficult for him to go against the grain because he's been conditioned. Because in the first 2 months, I was just having this conversation with somebody this morning. In the first 2 months of a relationship or just interactions, okay, a female will go in your brain, okay, guys, all right, this is for the men out there. She will go into your brain and she will make a schematic for herself. And she will have it. She'll have diagrams. She will use a slide rule. Everything. She should have everything detailed out. Okay. In 2 months, she knows you emotionally. Okay. She knows all your buttons, what to push, when to push it, how hard to push it, everything. Okay. And after that point, it's very, very difficult to appeal to her, right? Unless you know what you're doing, unless you can go against the grain. Because if you're the kind of guy that goes with the program, if you're that blue pill guy, and you can go against the program, right? It's very difficult for a blue pill guy. So blue pill guys. So let's define these terms. Okay, so these are old school terms, and they don't use them very much now because they put a different label, a nice friendlier sounding label on it. The blue pills are the guys who just don't know women. They just don't. okay? And they get conditioned by their mothers a lot, okay? They get conditioned by their mothers because their mothers teach them to be gentlemen, okay? So they grow up trying to be gentlemen, okay? They go out into the world looking for someone like mom, okay? Now, at this point, mom has trained them, and all he's doing is going to look for another mom, okay? Because men are attracted to women that are like their mothers, and women are attracted to men that are like her dads if she has a good relationship with her father, okay? Now, a father makes a big difference in a girl's life, okay? The kind of father that a woman has will set her up for the rest of her life, either in the positive or in the negative, okay, depending. Okay, but fathers, good relationships with fathers spare the girls from the pole. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Um, but here's the thing, right? So now men look for women like their moms, right? They have good relationship with their moms. A lot of guys that are really, let's say, mommy's boys, right? Really good relationship with mom. And I was a mommy's boy when I was young. When I was 13, my uncle got a hold of me. You can't be a mama's boy. You got, I was like mama's boy all the way to 13, and I was spoiled. So that's the other thing, right? Now, here's the thing you need to know about men. Men, this is what you need to know about uh, women and children. Okay, so men, she does not love you. Okay, she does not love you, not in the Valentine's Day kind of love, not in that kind of, she doesn't love you. Okay, she appreciates you. Okay, she likes what you're doing for her. Okay, and you need to be consistent, because when you stop, when you fold, when you give up, when you throw in the towel on whatever it is, she's out. Okay, because women are hypergamous. Look it up, hypergamy. It's a thing. Okay, but but on the other hand, now I got to back up women on this. Okay, so I'm not here to bash women or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Okay, so women are hardwired for survival because they're engineered to be mama bears. Okay, so they're hardwired for survival. So that's a good thing. And nobody wants a loser. And she's going to mate with a strong male to give her good babies. Okay. It's nature. It's just the way it is. Okay, now men are hardwired for logic. Okay, men are not hardwired for emotion. Okay. We have a lot of modern males. Okay, so we have a website under Here For You Life Coaching. It's a side hustle of Here For You Life Coaching. It's called modernmalesadvice.com. On modernmalesadvice.com, we teach men how how to be leaders, basically. Okay, because your job, men, is to lead. Your job is to lead. Now, why is this such a hard thing for men to do? What? Because they're tired after work, right? Well, here's the thing: if you're in a relationship or you're in a marriage, okay, you have an obligation. It's a job. So after your 8 hours, right, that you're working 8 hours, you come home. Now you're going to start your second job. If you're working two jobs out there, when you come home, you're starting your third job. If you have three jobs out there, you see where I'm going? All right. Another job is waiting for you when you come home. That job is boyfriend, husband, significant other, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. Okay, but that's your job. It's a job. So now you have to lead at home. Okay, you go out there, you work, 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 do whatever you do, right? And then you come home and now you have to lead. What do men do when they get married? Oh, beer and remote and watch the game when I come home. I'm going to relax when I come home because I've been working hard all day, right? Okay. So most men, okay, not all men, most men, okay, they just want to come home and veg. Why? Because we've been thinking all day. We use our brains all day long. Think, 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 think. Now, if you're doing manual labor, okay, then you're using your muscles all day, okay. But there's normally a lot of focus involved. So whether if you're driving a rig, you're driving an 18-wheeler, right? You're doing that. There's a lot of focus involved. Okay, there's a lot of focus involved with operating heavy equipment. There's a lot of focus involved with going up on a 45-story high-rise and building up there. Okay, there's a lot of focus involved. So when men come home, they normally come home after a day of focus if they're being productive in whatever field it is. But now you got to be productive in your relationship. Okay. Good morning, Karen. But now you got to be productive in your relationship. And now what? Well, now you start your next job. And your job is to lead. Okay. Your job as a man is to lead. Lead the interaction, be proactive with solutions. You need to stay on top of it. What do a lot of men do? Oh, whatever you want, honey. Whatever you want, baby. Oh, you want this? Okay, whatever. You want to do that? Okay, fine. You know. But here's the problem with that. We call that role reversal. Okay. I'm just going to touch on a lot of things in this one video, and you can pick and choose and go back and rewind and that kind of thing. But so now role reversal happens when the male starts to play the female role and vice versa. And the reason why the female will start to play the male role if the male plays the female role is because you can't have two in the same role. Okay? So if a man is assuming the feminine role, the female will assume the masculine role. And now you have role reversal because when you started, right? Man, leader, masculine, women, woman, submissive, okay? And then sometimes you have, women that aren't submissive at all. I'm just saying role reversal. Okay, so you have opposites here. Okay, now when you have role reversal, it goes slow like this. Okay, so at first the man is in charge. Okay, you know that 2-month period I talked about where they start to make a schematic out of your brain, or they map out all your characteristics. Okay, so it begins to turn like this. Okay, and slowly, if you're not a strong male, the female will dominate. She'll start, but she dominates slowly, very slowly, very slowly, very slowly, very slowly. And it's because the man in that situation is relinquishing responsibility. What does that look like? Well, that looks like we're going out to dinner tonight, honey. Oh, where are we going? Oh, wherever you want to go, babe. He relinquished his responsibility. Okay? His job is to say, we're going out to dinner tonight. She goes, where are we going? His job is to say, it's a surprise. Get in the car. Let's go. We're going to have fun. And then his job is to surprise her. Okay? But what do we do? What do men normally do? Right? They submit. Okay. So I'm not here to attack men or women or whatever. But I'm telling you, if you want to live in role reversal, it will not last very long. If it lasts a considerable amount of time, you will be replaced, men. You will be replaced. Okay. So it starts slowly like that, right? The role reversal, slowly like that, slow. Whatever you want, honey, whatever you want. And pretty soon she's on top. Now, what does that mean when she's on top? Well, she's making the household decisions. Okay. She's wearing the pants. Okay. And this is not good for a woman. I'll get there. Okay. But this is not good for a woman. All right, now she's wearing the pants. She's calling the shots. She's a shot caller in the house. Okay. She says what goes, right? Okay. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe you take your paycheck, you give it to her. She pays the bills. She's in charge. She's the boss. She does all of that. But when she makes a mistake, and I've known tons of women like this, when she makes a mistake, you hold her accountable. You blame her. Men need to lead, okay? If you blame her after throwing all this stuff, heaping all this stuff on top of her, and then you blame her when she makes a mistake, okay, you know that attraction level thing I was talking about? That's when it starts sinking. And if you don't raise that attraction level, it'll sink only so far. When you get to about this thing where it drops, okay, right about here, that's when she starts using the D word, or she starts hinting at something. Women subcommunicate, so you need to understand womanese. If you don't understand womanese, you better learn. You better learn to subcommunicate. Okay, 3 out of 100 men know how to do it. 3 out of 100 men are very highly skilled at it. Okay, it doesn't take much skill to subcommunicate, but you need to learn it. Okay, so anyway, when you get to that danger zone, that danger zone, because it's gonna collapse pretty soon. Okay, when that starts happening, she's already picked out your successor. Your successor has already been selected. Okay, so just know these things. Don't be so naive about the oh, not my wife. My wife, no, my wife loves me. Uh-huh. Okay. So a man's job is to provide. A man's job is to lead. Okay. So if you're not being proactive, or if you're not being a leader, if you're not leading, then you're going to end up in the follow role. Okay. And you don't want to be a follower. Okay. I had this client come to me, go, oh, well, I take her kids all over the place. I do all of this stuff for her. I do all this. And then there's still nothing. Oh, what's wrong? You're not being a leader. You're not being a leader. Okay. You're being a follower. You're taking her instructions. You're doing everything she wants. You're supplicating to her. You're going like this. You're going like this. She's up here, and you're doing this. You're holding her on a pedestal up here like this. Okay. Wrong. Wrong. She doesn't want that. You think she wants that. You think, if that's the case, you've been watching too many Cinderella movies. Okay. You're not the knight on the white horse. Okay. Get off the horse. Get off the horse. Okay. And start leading. Okay. Because that's our natural purpose, is to lead, to find solutions. Now, if you're in Hawaii, we have our Asian community. There a lot of women are the boss in households. Okay, that's how it is. Okay, but then when you look at divorce rates, you'll see the reflection. You'll see that reflection. Right now, it's like marriage is like it's a toss up. It's 50-50. So if somebody told me like, if you want to buy this company, I have this company, right? And I'm trying to sell it. But half of it doesn't work. Only half of this company works, but I want to sell it to you. Could you buy this company? Are you interested? My answer is no. Of course not. No, I'm not. But if 80% of the company works, 90% of the company works, and I only have to fix 10%, no problem. No problem. Okay? So 50% of marriage is broken. Marriage is broken. Marriage is becoming an old school flex. Okay? And the only reason I say that is because it's more of a benefits game at this point. Okay? It's more of a, when she doesn't agree, right? You lose half, basically. Unless you can maintain this level of attraction up here. Okay. If you can't maintain that, okay, then it's slowly over time gonna sink. And right over here, you're gonna hit the danger zone, okay? And then pretty soon, when it collapses like that, there's no return. There's no revisiting that. There's no making it better. There's no second chance. Okay, so we need to fit in as much information as I can. So good morning, Jesus Christ is Lord. We're on TikTok. We're on multiple platforms this morning. So so what do you do to maintain this? How do I do this? Well, you have to understand first, men. You have to understand what your job is. Okay, so there's two categories. There's two things you can be. Okay, you can be her provider. You can be her lover. Or there's a third category where you can be a little bit of both. Okay, but that's harder work, because that almost always fails. Okay, the guy who's trying to, starts off maybe as her lover and then turns into her provider. Okay, providing is not sexy. Providing is not sexy. So what happens? Well, pretty soon, right, she loses interest in the lover part, and you're just the provider. Or that whole that whole thing just starts sinking over time. And you're just the guy on the couch. If you're just the guy on the couch, your replacement is coming. Okay. So how do we fix this? Well, first of all, understand, what do you want to be? You want to be her lover or you want to be her provider? See, because ideally, okay, ideally women should have one of each. That would be a perfect world. She would have that one guy for this role and one guy for this role. Okay. But that's not how marriage works in this country. That's not that. And the reason, marriage is a colonial concept. Okay. This is not something that was naturally decided upon. This is something that, institutions decided upon, be it government or religious. But I'm just saying, right? It's not natural. Okay. Think about it. You 25-year-olds, that one woman, I'm going to marry this one woman and for the rest of my life. Okay. Okay. All right, but decide which role do you want more? Which role do you want to be her provider more? You want to be her lover more? You gotta choose. Okay, you gotta choose. Now, the other thing is social influences that make you do the right thing. What's the right thing? Well, you know what the right thing is, right? You guys been together for so like do the right thing. Family members says do the right thing. You're gonna do the right thing, aren't you? And what's the right thing? Okay, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just the way it is. Okay, but it's your interpretation on, what is right. Okay, if you belong to a church, maybe the right thing is to get married and have a family because that's how it was constructed. Okay, is it natural? Is it supposed to be like that? No, not really. Okay, but you think what you think, and your opinions are always respected by this channel. Okay, but I'm telling you that you got to find your role. Okay, so now you find your role. Now you're going to excel in that role. Okay, so whatever role you choose, make sure that you're damn good at it because that's your second job. And if it's a job, right, like a profession, okay, it's like a profession. You have to be good at what you do. If you're not good at what you do, you're going to lose it. Okay? What happens when you're not good at your job? You get fired, right? Or you get let go, or you get replaced. It's the same thing in relationships, okay? You have to start looking at every transaction. Every transaction is either attraction or unattraction. And if you're a skilled male, okay, so we're gonna go to the red pill now. Okay, so blue pill is like they just kind of go along to get along. They're just kind of like, they wanna provide. They wanna provide. They're kind of like puppies. You can lead them, right? Okay. Now you get red pill. So the red pill guys, right? These guys are more hardcore. They have knowledge. Okay, these guys are the guys that study. Okay, so they are normally men that don't get into relationships. They're normally men that have women skills, that understand women, that know women. Okay, now we're talking 3% out of 100. Okay, 3 out of 100 men. Okay, and those guys with the knowledge have a choice. They can either remain red pills or they can become purple because there's red, blue, and purple. Okay, there's red over here, there's blue over here, there's purple in the middle. Okay, purple is a little bit of both. Okay, now let's say you choose to be a red pill. Okay, it's a lonely existence. Okay, it's a lonely existence to be a man, period. Okay, because you have to lead. Okay, and you have to compartmentalize and internalize these issues that you have because otherwise you sound like a girl. Okay, basically, just gonna be real with you. Okay, you start sounding like a girl at home. You start, you're gonna have to go with the guys, and you're gonna have to go complain with the guys, and you know what I said about subconscious and complaints, right? Okay, your subconscious doesn't know if you're complaining about you or somebody else. Okay, so take that into consideration. Okay, but you can't complain at home because you're gonna be seen as a girl. And then what happens? Well, the attraction starts coming down like that. Okay, when you start getting seen that way subconsciously. This happens subconsciously in her mind, okay? and you're not that guy anymore. You're not the guy she met anymore. Okay. Now, what do women do in this area that's wrong? Well, what they try to do is they try to take those things, those primal things that they were attracted to, and they try and fix it. Okay. So that's what women do, right? So women will meet this guy and like he's good looking, like he has bad habits, he's an alpha, he's rough around the edges, and she goes, well, I could make him classy, I could fix him up, I could teach him manners, I could, that kind of thing, right? I could make him a better man, right? Okay, what happens when that happens? Well, with the best of intentions, okay, a woman in that role, a woman playing that role, okay, which is basically mommy, okay, and basically in that role, okay, single mothers are probably the most, I want to say, influential in that area, okay, single moms, okay, because they're mothers, okay, now they're gonna mother you, and if you allow them to mother you, guess what's gonna happen? You're going to, number one, start behaving like a child because she's taking on that. You remember that role reversal? Okay. So then you will start acting like a child. Okay. Um, Give or take a little action here and there, whatever. Okay. But the other thing that will happen is that slowly she will lose interest because slowly she will go, oh, yeah, there's nothing exciting about him anymore. All those things that used to be exciting, I fixed all of those things, and now it's boring because, like, yeah, he's not the guy that I fell in love with. He's no longer that guy. Okay, so some women do that. Okay, some women take on men as a project. Okay, some women try to fix him. Okay, don't fix him, ladies. If you love him, don't fix him. Okay, work on you. Okay, because everything out there reacts to everything in here. Work on you. That will fix him for you. Okay, that will bring out qualities that you need rather than qualities that you think he should have. Okay, so now where are we at? Well, let's talk about serial monogamists. Okay, I worked with tons of guys like this. Okay, what's a serial monogamist? A serial monogamist is that guy who always needs to be married. Okay, I knew this one guy. This one guy. I'm not gonna, like, no names or anything always, but I knew this one guy. He worked at this gym that I used to go to, right? And he used to always tell me because he used to see me go out with different girls and whatever. And I used to date different girls, and he used to go, well, Junior, I prefer to be married. And I'm like, okay. He was a blue pill. He was a blue pill. Okay, and he went to the Philippines. Okay, now he's in his early 50s at this time, and he went to the Philippines and he married this girl. And when she got here, it took about 2 months before the yeah attraction was gone. Well, there never was any attraction there, but in his mind, he was the kind of guy that needed to be married. Okay, so what happened? Well, he married her because he didn't know women. He didn't know, like, what to look for. What are the danger? What are the red flags? What are nothing? He didn't know anything. Nothing. Got married with the best of intentions, right? Because he wants to be married. This was, like, I don't know, second marriage or whatever. And in 2 months he was divorced. And I was like, couldn't say anything, right? I felt sorry for the guy because serial monogamous, because he'll do it again. Serial monogamy. You do it again. You do it again, do it again, do it again. There's guys that I worked with professionally that I saw get married over and over and over. What does that mean when a guy does that? That means he needs a mommy. Okay, he's looking for a mommy. He can't be without a mommy. So in the old school, the old school, right? Um, it's like, don't you want somebody to take care of you? Don't you want somebody to, do this, do that, whatever, keep the house clean, all of that stuff. And yeah, if you want to do that, men, if you want to do that, you have to provide. Okay, so if you want that girl that cleans the house, if you want that girl that keeps everything in order and whatever like that, okay, then you need to pay her bills. You need to pay bills. You need to take care of the other stuff. That's your responsibility. It's a responsibility. Okay? If you get married for that purpose, now you're a serial monogamist. You're just looking for a mommy. You're not paying for anything, or you're not, yeah, you're going to contribute to the house. Of course, you're going to do all those things. But what I'm saying is, in that role of being a serial monogamist, so the guys have been married like 3, 4 times, 5 times, whatever, that kind of thing. I knew a woman that was a serial monogamist. I think she's on her fifth marriage right now. She's on her fifth marriage, and that marriage happened, I think, in her 70s, in her late 70s, and she did it again, right? But this is subconscious behavior. This is all in your subconscious. Now, I'm not making fun of these people. I'm just saying it is what it is. But it's serial monogamy. Okay. Now, when a woman does it, guess who she's looking for? She's looking for daddy. Okay. When a man does it, he's looking for mommy. Okay. So how do you break serial monogamy? Study female nature. Okay. My number one recommendation, guys, for you. Okay. Women, there's so many women that thank me when I did my podcast on relationships, right? And my podcast, if you're not familiar with these things, my podcast sounds pretty, like my live is sounding right now, right? So it's kind of like, if you're not familiar, then But these ladies were thanking me, going, "Oh, thank you so much, Junior. It was so cool that you said these things, because I don't have to tell him. Like, he can listen to your podcast, and like he'll know what to do now, right? So, but yeah." And then there's some women that go, "What? What are you talking about? That's not true. It's a 50-50. We work together." Yeah, but you do different kind of work, okay? There's different roles to be played. And when you have role reversal, you have the female leading, okay? And when it should be the man leading. Now, I'm not talking about telling somebody what to do. That's not leadership, okay? That's not leadership. Leadership is having a plan, okay? Leadership is, okay, here's the plan today, okay? And you say what the plan is. If she wants to add to the plan, go ahead, add to the plan. Do you have to be flexible? Yes. Do you have to agree to everything she says? No. Does she have to agree with everything you say? No. But you have to have a plan. You have to be the leader. You have to be willing to lead. If you don't lead, whatever you want to do, honey, whatever you want, baby, whatever you want, okay? Now you're making her uncomfortable, because now it's on her to come up with the plan. Now it's on her to lead. Now it's on her to do these things. But that's your responsibility as a man. Okay. Now let's go back to role reversal. Okay. So when role reversal happens and you have the guy leading, he's on top, right? Now role reversal turns, and pretty soon she's leading. Why? Because he's acting like a girl. Okay. And how does that happen? How does that happen? Well, that happens when the guy starts bitching. Okay. Girls do that. Okay. When he starts being vindictive, okay, girls do that. Okay. That's not what he's supposed to do. When he's complaining, when he's nagging, girls do that. That's not what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to find solutions. He's supposed to be proactive. He's supposed to lead. Period. Okay. Some people never find these things out. Some people never, they go through life in role reversal, and it's okay. Okay. But in role reversal, what happens over time is they're both operating out of their natural element. Okay. And so in an extended period of time like that, they get burnt out. So I know people that are going through counseling right now in their 70s. They're going through marriage counseling right now, because a lot of people are getting divorced in old age, in 70s, late 70s, almost 80. Those people, a lot of those marriages are just because they can't take it anymore. It's not that they can't stand each other. They think they can't stand each other, but it's working against their biology, is what's happening. Okay? And when things work on your biology for an extended period of time, it's a natural separation. It's gotta happen. It's gonna happen. So how do you fix it? You do whatever the opposite is. The same way you do subconscious training, that's the same way you salvage your relationship. Okay? But guess what? For guys, guess what, guys? You're gonna have to learn to say no. No. Okay? Try that on a date. Okay, but you gotta try it on the first date. Try that on the first date. You know, when you're walking through the mall and she goes, "Oh, look at that! Isn't that cute?" You go, "No." Okay, practice. You're gonna need to have that skill set. Okay, saying no. Okay. Now, does that sound mean? No, it's not really mean, but you have to practice. You know why? Because when you say yes, 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 with the best of intentions, okay, you know how she sees you subconsciously? She doesn't see you consciously, but subconsciously, you know how she sees you? Weak, 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 weak. Okay? So you have to have some sort of backbone and maintain some sort of backbone. Is it easy to do? No, it's a job. It's a job, man. It's a job. Okay, so if you're having trouble with your marriage right now, email me and I'll tell you how to fix it. Okay, but the hardest guys to get through, the hardest guys to get the message through to are married men because they're conditioned. They're whipped down from like the first 2 months, like I told you. When she goes in and she knows exactly how you function, she has a schematic already. Oh, he's like that. Oh, this does this to him. Oh, that does that to him. Okay, yeah, got it. And now she becomes your puppeteer if you let her. Okay, if you let her. If you don't let her, guess what she's gonna do? She's gonna respect you. Okay, she's not gonna hate you. She's gonna respect you. Because, oh yeah, he has a backbone. That's my man. Okay. Now, if you call her on her crap, okay, just make sure you're not doing crap. Okay, but call her on her crap. Go ahead. Call her on it. Okay. So the things that you think, oh no, if I did that, oh no, that's a divorce already. The things that you think are going to be a divorce, it's not a divorce. It's the opposite. Okay, so start switching your thinking. Now let's go to the women for a little while. Okay, because I always get these guys. I always get these guys in the ninth hour when it's like too late. You know, they got 9 yards to go and they're like, Junior, I need your help. Yeah, I'm about to lose half. You know, and I've saved a lot of people in that situation. I've also saved people. This one guy, one of my clients, years ago, was standing in the hall in the doorway of his room with a loaded 45 and a bottle of Jack. And I just had put a reel about this same topic that we were discussing. I put the same reel on a TikTok, and he saw the TikTok, and he goes, Junior, I need to talk to you. I'm about ready to do myself in. And I'm like, oh. And it took me 2 weeks to turn him around. It took me 2 weeks of calling him on the phone daily, okay, because we were talking about suicide. He was ready to pull the trigger. It took 2 weeks. In that 2 weeks, he got into a car accident after like the first week because he went out, he got drunk, he wrecked the car, like, you know, stuff like that. Okay, well, what made him do this? What makes a man do that? Well, he chose to be the provider. Okay, so there's two, right? He chose to be the provider. Then what happened? Hi, Karen. Thank you, Karen. Good morning. He chose to be the provider. So what happened? Well, he was providing. Okay. Remember now, when you're the provider, that's not sexy. Okay. So in her mind, right, subconsciously, his value went down. He's the provider. Okay. And she only basically was, you know, physically friendly to him right before the rent was due. Like a couple days before the rent was due, and then the rent was due, and then nothing until the rent was due. Okay. And he didn't know how to fix it. So you know, but this was the problem. Okay. And that's why I told you, men, choose your roles. Know which role you're choosing, but you got to work at it. You got to be good at it. He was good at it, okay? But his payment, or let's say what he wanted, only came right before he had to do what was necessary. Okay. Good morning, Karen. You're very welcome. So what happened? Well, I had to recondition his subconscious through a period of 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks. And guess what the outcome was? The outcome was I said, you know what? Never mind if the rent's due. You have a job, you have your stuff, you go get a place on your own. Now to him, when I first said that, right, it it didn't register because it sounded so foreign to him and so weird to him it didn't register, right? But he got his place finally, about a week and a half out. Anyway, so uh, what happened after that? Well, then yeah, things started to stabilize, things started to normalize, and then he got his life back. So what was the lesson that he learned? Well, he had to balance, balance more. Okay, so it's a subconscious effort that you have to go through, and these things you have to, yeah, you have to you have to learn these skills. You have to be good at these skills. You have to balance. You have to know what's your responsibility, and then you have to do it. Good morning, you guys. Good morning. So yeah, there's a delicate balance, and within this delicate balance, you have to know what to do, and you have to know what your roles are. So basically that's it. Now, let's go, more into the, how do I fix what's wrong? Well, before you fix what's wrong, okay, before you can fix what's wrong in a relationship, you have to fix what's wrong in here. What keeps happening in here? What keeps happening in here that produces the results out here? Okay, for the people that get divorced over and over and over, what's happening in here? That's what you need to work on. Okay, what are your core beliefs? The tree, right? So we're talking about the roots of the tree, your subconscious beliefs. The trunk of the tree is your, okay, trunk of the tree is your paradigm, how you see the world based upon what you believe. And then the fruits are your actions, like the actions that produce results, okay? And that's gonna determine what you get, right? Because your actions produce results. So how are you gonna fix that issue with your relationship? Well, you have to look at what you believe. Because the serial monogamists, they keep getting married over and over. Doesn't matter who the two, wife number three, same action, same result. Okay, and then it starts all over again. Okay, and then all over again. Then the counseling thing, I mean, you can do the counseling thing if you need to, if it's that critical. Okay, but before that even happens, before you get to that stage, you have to start seeing, you have to have that awareness to see, like, okay, what is this causing? What are my beliefs causing? What is this? What's going down? What's really going down with all this stuff? And then you'll know, right? And then you go, oh, okay, I gotta fix that. All right, now start writing affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. That's the key. Okay, so start looking at those things, start fixing those things like that. Then you can fix the relationship. Then you can fix everything else because now you've worked on this one first, right? Everything out here reacts to everything in here. When you change how you are, your wife will change. Ladies, when you change how you are, your husband will change. Okay, so it's the dynamics of how I am. Okay, what I believe. The trunk of the tree is the paradigm, right? And then the actions, and then the results. If you want to change the results, start installing new beliefs. Okay, write your affirmations. I am so happy and grateful now that I am a good husband. Okay, now you don't need to be taught right from wrong. Okay, it'll automatically come out, it'll automatically happen. Your subconscious will go, well, you're gonna be a good husband, right? So this is the way to do it. Then you're gonna be a good husband, right? This is the way to act, that kind of thing. Okay, so changes. Okay, but a divorce, and you see him like 5 years later. Oh, you know what? Oh, I just had another. Just went through my second divorce. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, it was rough. Okay, but your subconscious, because that's belief, has not gone up into your things and relationship over and over, and that's not changed his subconscious programming, and that's why he keeps getting stuck in the loop. Divorce, 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 like that. Or if it's a single guy, break up, loop back on your relationship, and that kind of thing. Okay. So remember, uh, it's paradigm shift that has to the paradigm has to shift. Okay, the way you see things, the way you operate, the way you do things, your habits, your actions have to change, and then everything else changes. So change this one first. Then you can work on changing everything out here will automatically change if you change this one. Okay. And that goes for everything. That goes for relationships. That goes for earning money. Okay. We're going to talk about money on tomorrow's live. Okay. We're going to talk about attitudes about money. We're going to talk about how people see money. Okay. Now, a lot of this is generational. Okay. Understand that by the time you're 7 years old, okay, from when you were born to when you were seven, all of these fundamental programs were installed in you, okay, in your subconscious. You can only change 15 to 20% of them in your adult life, okay, once they're set, right? You can only change about 15%, maybe 20 if you're lucky, okay? And that's enough. That's enough to dramatically change your life. 15%, that's a lot, okay? But a lot of these things are handed down to us. We grow up, we see our parents behave a certain way. You know, in my house, there was tons of love in my house. There was so much love in my house. I always saw love in my house, you know. But some people don't see that. Some people see other things, right? And these things get ingrained in our subconscious. And when that happens, it becomes a belief. It becomes a belief because when that happens, we're like, oh, that's the way it's done? Okay. Oh, that's the way to behave in a relationship? Oh, okay. Right? So now, you know, when you begin changing your beliefs about things, then the reactions change, right? Because now you're operating out of a new paradigm. So so yeah, there's all these things that I was mentioning earlier. Okay, so things that I was mentioning earlier, just go back on the live and check it out. But yeah, when you argue with a female, if you're a male and you argue with a female, you arguing back and forth. Okay, sometimes that means you've been married too long, right? You argue like that back and forth all the time. Okay, in her mind, subconsciously, you're behaving like a woman, and now it's going down. Okay, now the attraction level is going down. Your job is to push it up again. How you gonna do that? Okay, well, I can't really go into detail in the live, but yeah, you can get a hold of me if you're having this problem. If you're this close to a divorce and you're at that level where pretty soon it's just gonna collapse, then yeah, you can turn it around. Just know that you can turn it around. But in order for you to turn it around, you're gonna have to do some work. And a lot of that work is going to be uncomfortable because it's going to go against everything you've ever done to get it to where it is now. Okay? So the things that you know to get it, like let's say a lot of complacency has happened, a lot of disregard for responsibility has happened, a lot of things have, you know, and then all of a sudden now there's a polar shift, right? And now you got to exert responsibility and demonstrate leadership and demonstrate courage and demonstrate these things to push it up here again. Okay? And it's not hard. Don't look at it as hard. It's not hard work. Okay? But it is work. Okay? It's work. And more so it's courage. But the courage has to come from here. Okay? You have to have that kind of courage. Okay? And when you have that kind of courage, when you build that kind of courage, the fastest way there is through your voice. But when you build that kind of courage, your awareness is heightened. Okay? And you have that heightened sense of awareness. And now that you're aware, now it's easier to do. Now that you're aware, the prison is unlocked. And now that the prison is unlocked, what? You get better results. Why? Because you're open. You're not like this anymore. You're open. Okay? Open to new things, open to new behaviors, open to new patterns, open to, okay, I'll cooperate, but you need to do this, you know, or I feel like this, and I feel like this needs to happen for me, for my side, for my benefit, and I'm willing to do what you need or what you feel needs to be done for your benefit. That kind of thing. Okay. But in order to do that, you have to reverse all the prior stuff. That's the hard part. Okay. Well, it's not really hard. It's not really hard. But that's the bad news. Some people don't want to do the work. But the work is not on her. The work is not on the relationship as a whole. The work is on you. Then everything else becomes pono. Everything else becomes pono after that. Pono is a Hawaiian word, and pono is a Hawaiian word that means that everything in here is as it should be. Everything is with good intention. Everything is calm. Everything is peaceful. Everything is done from love. Everything is done from good intention. And that's what pono is. Anyway, so we've come to another exciting end to another exciting episode. But anyway, but yeah, so here for you lifecoaching.com. If you're having problems, in your relationship and she's not responding properly, just know that it's your fault, okay? So accept first of all, it's your fault, okay? You can't blame the woman because women are emotional beings, okay? They operate on how they feel. Okay, on Monday she could love you. On Wednesday, she could not care less about you. And on Thursday, she loves you again. Okay? That's normal. Okay? But first, you need to learn female nature. You need to learn about women in general. And then, you need to read the manual, and then you need to go and put it into application. Okay? And then you can manage your relationships better. You can choose not to be in one, or whatever you choose. Okay, so the red pill is like those guys, they probably don't want relationships, right? And then there's blue pill on this side, they have to have relationships. They're looking for mommies. They're looking for that kind of thing, right? They need, needy, okay, that side. And then there's the guys in the middle. They have the knowledge, they know what to do, but they intend to have relationships and build families, okay? But that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. You're willing to do the work, you can accomplish anything. I'm Junior from Here For You Life Coaching. Check us out, hereforyoulifecoaching.com. And yeah, we'll see you again tomorrow as we do every day at 7 a.m. So until then, aloha and take care. God bless you, folks. Facebook, aloha and God bless you guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Aloha. Oh, shit.
Friends can be lovers, lovers